So, briefly, after this, I'm going to take a 10-second break. Right, we're back. Why? Sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing myself. And I'm going to show you our teamware tools. Now, I will give you a heads up. I've got a Vagrant box running with 8 gigabytes of RAM, and I've got 30 different servers running, and one of them uses Cassandra. So if all of this crashes, we get to go home early. And let's go to UpSource. Oh my God, it's working. Now don't touch. And let's go to TeamCity. And let's go to UpSource. Let's go to TeamCity. And let's go to UTrack. Okay. Woohoo! It works. Right, let me give you a quick overview of what we have here. How many of you are software developers? No, trick question. I already asked that. How many of you do continuous integration and use Jenkins? Hudson? Cruise control? Throw a batch file on the server and hope for the best? TeamCity? Cool. I like you too. Did they say that we're going to raffle the all products pack? Maybe I can pick out the right card. Joke. Anyway, so we've got a bunch of different products that work together, integrated, to provide you a bunch of functionality in regard to code review, issue management, and continuous integration. All of this is surrounded by Hub, which is our kind of software that manages the services, manages users, permissions. It integrates with LDAP. It integrates with OAuth providers such as GitHub, etc. Then we've got TeamCity, which is our continuous integration server tool. It's been around for 10 years. It was around before Hudson and Jenkins. It goes from very, very small to very, very large installations. Well, I'll show you a quick demo of that. UpSource, I'll show you, which is our code repository and code review tool, and UTrack, which is our issue tracker. And UTrack was built very much focused around the usage from developers. So in the sense of, I like to use the keyboard, I can use the keyboard. And we'll see how that is. Of course, it has all of the wonderful things that project managers like Agile board and Kanbans and Scrum boards and all of those things it has as well. But I'll show you a little bit how to work with it with the keyboard. Okay? So here's my hub, and my hub also gives me like a dashboard of features. So I can actually add widgets here, like commits, code review, project status, and I can kind of from a single page monitor multiple projects if I'm working on those. And you can add services, and these services can be JetBrains services or they can be external services. So if I'm talking to Jira, if I've got different server installed for issue management, I can add that to my dashboard. Now let me start quickly with TeamCity. TeamCity basically is our continuous integration server that, as I said, goes from a very, very simple build to very large-scale installations. We have this concept of build projects, and then we have these things of concept of build configurations, which would be the equivalent to jobs, for instance, in Jenkins, right? And at first, it's kind of overwhelming, but I'll show you how easy it is to actually get a project up and running. You can come to Create Project and click manually and start to fill out all of this information and hit Create, and then go to, create a new build configuration manually and fill out a bunch of more information, and then come here and say Build Steps, add a build step, and say, oh, I want to do a Maven build, for instance, and hit Maven, and then it'll say, oh, fill out all of these steps for Maven, and so on and so forth. Or you can just come to the button here and say, create a project from a repository. And I say HTTP, let's say, for example, Yoda time, hit cancel, Well, that's one password, not hit cancel on thingy. So now this is going to Yoda time, and it says, oh, Yoda time. Okay, I'll name it build. Next. Now it goes, fetches the source code, analyzes what there is in Yoda time. Because it has the concept of all of these different runners, it can kind of try and figure out what your project is. Okay? Now Yoda time is, if I'm not mistaken, it's using Maven. So once the internet connection allows me, because this is actually going to GitHub, it will come back and say, oh look, this is what I found, what do you want to use? By the way, it's quite cold in Seoul. There you go. So I say I want to use Maven, you select it, done. That's it. That's all that's needed to create a new CI project. And now this starts to run, fetches the sources, I get information for my tests, absolutely everything, right? So if I go, you see I've got my agent running now. Right now it's one. I've got a build queue of other projects that are already running on there. I can go to the build log and I get interactive build. It shows me everything. You can get like the tree views and all of that. It's gone. It's well not. So this is a Maven project. Consequently, it means it's going to pull down all of the internet before it can build, right? So I'll show you something that I have from before. Let's go to, I think I have, for example, Yoda time actually from before. So here you can see, for instance, the output. You can click on tests, see all of the different tests. Click on each of these tests, see, for instance, the evaluation over time, and there's a whole bunch of features in terms of statistics and all of these things that TeamCity provides you. But one of the core things of this product is not only the stability, like it is very, very rare for TeamCity to give you a false positive, very rare, or a false negative, right? Where it starts to shine is the scalability it offers. So here I have one agent. A single server, we have customers that are managing up to 500 agents on a single server, right? It then scales to multiple nodes once you go beyond that. And then when you have complex setups, so let's say, for instance, I have a build chain over here. Here is a project that has a bunch of build configurations that are being built, and then it gets the dependencies of those, which are artifacts, that's the output, and then it uses that to pump it into another build configuration, which then does something else, and then puts it to another one that does the publishing. Basically build chains, basically your build pipeline. You can click on build chains and see a visual representation of this, right? So you can see all this, and I can actually run all of this, and I can promote it, and I can see the dive into that actual part of it, okay? So, I can also navigate completely away from TeamCity. So you can see that, build chain, once you get to a certain level, it's going to scale with you. And then you have an ability to assign things to people, create tasks, and much of the functionalities that sometimes with other CI servers you have to download and install in plugin, most of this already comes out of the box, right? But we also support plugins, and here's the best part, right? Up to 20 build configurations, TeamCity is completely free. Hub is also completely free. Right? Once you hit 20 build configurations, you can actually buy 10 more build configurations for something like $200. Okay? UTrack, it integrates with TeamCity, right? I can actually go, TeamCity integrates with Jira and UTrack. So for if I go, for instance, to my other Yoda time that I have over here, not this one, the other Yoda time, I actually should have named this something else so that I knew which one I'm going to. So you can see that on this one, for instance, I can see the build log parameters, the issues that have been resolved, right? That's hooking to UTrack. I can click on that, and that will take me to the issue that's been resolved in UTrack, okay? And from UTrack, I can also see the actual build that's been used, okay? Now, UTrack, create an issue. I can use the mouse. We don't like the mouse, do we? We press Command Control N, and we create an issue. This is a big bad bug, okay? And I can have markdown. And then I can come here naively and say, oh, this is a feature, oh, this is a task, and I'll assign it to me, blah, blah, blah. No, don't use the mouse. Control-Alt-J, it gives you a little dialog box. And you say, I want the type to be, oh, look, I get completion. I want it to be feature. I want you to assign it to me. No, you don't even do that. But you see that it says set type feature set assignee admin. You do feature me. Done. Done. Right? Very fast. And you can do batch updates using the same command window. Fixed. And you can navigate and add comments directly in here. Keyboard oriented. And you could do searches, you know, for me. Resolve date. Today. There you go. Okay? Now, hold that thought and let me take you to the exact same experience in UpSource, which is our code review, code repository tool. Here I have Yoda time. Or let's go back. Enough Yoda time. Let's go to see something else. Let's see Wasabi. Basically, it's a yeah, I love Wasabi. It's actually my project. It's a web framework. Why did I create a web framework? Because there's not enough web frameworks out there. So Wasabi is a code repository and code browsing tool and a code review tool, right? And one of the things that you can actually do is, well, what you do is you actually point to a URL, to a repository. It goes off and it indexes everything. Okay? So I can now search for all commits. So let's say I want to search for author, Dale Anderson, and let's say date is last month or last year. It will show me all the commits of Dell in last year, right? And then I can click on one of these and I can see the side-by-side, all of the different things that you would expect. And I can do a side-by-side diff, right? See that little circle that's turning up there? You know what that is? That is Intellij code inspections. So all of the inspections you get on the server inside Intellij, you're getting inside here as well, right? And it's going to analyze. So you imagine the first scenario that comes up. Someone checks in some code, and on the right it's green, and on the left it's yellow. You already know, without actually having to examine the code, that they've introduced an issue, right? And not only that, but you get all of the navigation features that you would come to expect. See, I click on that, go to declaration, find usages, view the usages diff, right? So I can go to the declaration, okay? Find usages of Bootstrap. Right? That's just because it has an index yet. Okay? So now I can say, okay, here's some code, comment on selection, yuck. Right? Now let's go back and look at Yoda time. I can come here and say, right, you can actually link this to GitHub. So there's multiple ways you can create code reviews. You can just create a review of a commit. You can create a review of a branch. You can sync it with GitHub and then make every pull request become a code review inside UpSource. Let's just create a review here. You see you have authors. I can add reviewers. I can add watchers. Just people that are going to watch this. And by the way, anything you review here will always remain. It's not going to vanish when you've closed the branch or the pull request or anything like that. And if that doesn't convince you, then this will. We have emoji support. Okay? Now say, oh, this is really, really bad, right? This is way beyond just a simple fix. I need to create an issue out of this. It's going to be showstopper and it's a bug. Hit OK. And it's now created an issue for me in UTrack with the actual code. And I can navigate back to it. That's just a configuration issue, right? So it gives me all of that workflow, okay? And I get all of that workflow also inside Intellij. So if I open up Yoda time, you can see that I have a little icon here, upsource, right? And it shows me all of my notifications, everything. And if I say open up reviews, you can see that I have my reviews. And I have the comments from my reviews. And I can reply here too. And I hit OK. And guess what? Eventually, what file is this? Test date time basics. So let's go to test date time basics. Oh yeah, you also have that. Where is my comment? Did I get the right file? Oh, probably I'm on the wrong revision. Sorry. I'm probably on the wrong revision. Oh yeah, it's telling me I'm on the wrong revision. There you go. Okay? Two-way. So you don't even have to leave the IDE to do code reviews. You can do it all from inside the IDE. Okay? And here's another thing. Remember UTrack, where I had this. Let's go and see all of my UTrack issues for me. Create an issue, JT6, right? If I come inside my IDE and I say, are you really mocking me? And I say, you know what? This is great. JT6 fixed by me, right? And I push that. Guess what's going to happen? It's going to mark this as fixed. Because the same way that I can apply commands here, which by the way, you can always use recent commands, it's going to take that from version control, parse the commit message, pump it to TeamCity. TeamCity will pick it up and pump it to UTrack. And UTrack will eventually come here and say, oh, this issue is fixed, right? If we open up TeamCity, you can see that my Yoda time, if we do a check for pending changes, wrong Yoda time, you see, it's already running, right? Which are the changes? The ones that Hadi just fixed. Yeah? And I can actually see the files, and I can actually see inside the browser in a diff also, right? Or see it inside the actual IDE. And eventually, when that finishes, it's going to pass that information over to UTrack, and you'll see that UTrack will mark that issue as fixed. Okay? So while we wait for that, are there any questions? Oh, I've actually got a comment. So that's finished. Let's go to UTrack, and let's sit there. So UTrack is free for up to 10 users also. Okay, so you got TeamCity free for up to 20 build configurations, UTrack free for up to 10 users. Upsource is free for up to 10 users. Okay, and beyond that, these are not really expensive tools. Trust me, you can go to the website and see. They're not going to break the bank. Very much like our developer tools, they're quite thingy. If I refresh this, this will eventually pick up and show the issue as fixed, okay? And you can actually see the VCS changes. It just hasn't polled yet, so you have to configure the poll time. Any questions? Nothing. Okay then. So I think that now what we can do is there a raffle? What do you think? Was it good? You have to download it. Do you know how they're going to measure my performance? The number of downloads of these tools from Korea. So you better make sure you download this, otherwise they're going to fire me.